Okay. Hello, everybody. It's like the festival opening today online, and I'm a little bit excited because we are mentally in India. So, welcome to our online presentation of our workshop, usually in India, but this year from Germany to India. So, I hope you can all hear me and see me, and you are all fine and comfortable in front of your laptop. Welcome to our presentation. First of all, I would like to introduce all the panelists. Huh? Ja, excuse me, our panelists. So, there. I would like to introduce Daniela Haug. She is board member of the Filmbüro Baden-Württemberg. She was often with us in India. I think you know her. And of course, Elisa Krohmeier, the program director of the festival. I would like to introduce Seva Chavelo from the Indian Film Festival in Florence, River to River, and Carisani from the Indian Film Festival in London. And last but not least, Lisa Forelli. She is the moderator for our panel discussion at the end of our presentation. And I would like warmly to welcome Uma. I think she's with us tonight or this afternoon. And I would like to introduce Therese. She is based in Palm Springs. And unfortunately, she could join us because I think she's still sleeping at night. So, but these are the grand ladies of the festival. So I miss you, and I hope we can meet for the latest next year again. Well, so I'm going to start. The schedule of our presentation is, first of all, I would like to tell you something about the festival until 2019. After that, Daniela will tell you something about the first online edition of the festival last year, and Elisa will go on with some useful information about the festival this year. After this presentation, we will have the panel discussion with Elisa, Carrie, and Zevaja, moderated by Lisa. Well, I would like to tell you briefly something about the festival until 2019. You can see we had about 1,000 films screened in Stuttgart. We had about 200 Indian filmmakers as guests in Stuttgart, more than 100,000 visitors and guests in the cinema halls, more than 80 winners and premieres and so on. This was the normal festival at the festival venue outside in the cinema hall. You all know we had to step online last year. So we hope we can go back. A few numbers of the festival, usually about 50 films, 5 days of the festival, 5 cash awards. We screen the films in 2 wonderful halls, and we have a wonderful festival venue. Well, I just mentioned that we had some guests at the festival. So, for example, here's Navas and Rajkumar, but we had also others. So you can see some here on this slate, which came to Stuttgart during the day. Sam O'Neill, for example, came 2 or 3 times, I think. So she's also a good friend of the festival now. Well, we have some informations. Indian Film Festival Stuttgart is, besides Florence and London, one of the biggest, largest festivals in Europe, and I think one of these important festivals here in Europe. A side program of the festival is the Indian Summer. It's organized by the honorary consulate and the consul, Mr. Lapp. He is also the host today for the online wine festival, and he celebrates the Indian Summer. It might be interesting to know that the Indian Film Festival was born out of the city partnership between Stuttgart and Mumbai. Stuttgart and Mumbai have been twins since 1968. And there's also a partnership, a twinning between among the state of Baden-Württemberg and the state of Maharashtra since 2015. Well, some more information about the festival. So it's only Indian films from India or about India. Our aim is to show the diversity of Indian film industry and the cultural diversity of the country. We used to expose newcomers, so we have a wonderful collaboration with Sami Moody and the Short Takes competition. Yes, you see this. We have the tea talks, maybe interesting, but I will come back to this a little bit later. So this is our wonderful festival venue. It's called the Metropole Cinema in Stuttgart. It's the former main station, so you can see the red carpet, and you can see our elephant. It's Mr. Lapp's elephant. He always brings it to us, and you can see the wonderful facade of the festival. At the red carpet, we had the red carpet ceremonies, but also some dance performances or music or something like that. So it's for the people to enjoy a little bit the Indian flair in Stuttgart. Well, if you will go down the street on the right side, there's the center place of the city and the huge castle. We have two castles, so it's the cinema that the festival takes place in the center of the city, so it's very close to all the shops. And so Stuttgart isn't so large, so we had about 600,000 inhabitants, so you can see it's not like Mumbai or London or like that. Okay, so then following a few impressions from the red carpet, you have some dances on the left. You have Namdev Bao. The film Namdev Bao was screened as an opening film, and Namdev was in Stuttgart, and the director Dagai having an interview with a TV station. The other pictures shows Mr. Lapp, Uma and Therese, and in the center is the ambassador, the Indian ambassador from Berlin. And I think there's one dancer and an ambassador, an American ambassador from Poland. I don't know why he was at the festival, but he was welcome. So the next, you see some impressions from our merchandise booth, the tea talks, and the farewell picture from the end of the award ceremony with all the award winners, the guests, the jury, the guest of honor, and the festival team. So I mentioned the tea talks. The tea talks are lectures and discussions on various topics dealing with Indian society, politics, culture, and other current and contemporary issues. In the regular festival, there is one tea talk a day with expert speakers. And sometimes the tea talks are held in German to introduce also people who don't speak so well in English to the Indian culture. Sometimes we have a special tea talk. There's one, it was on the topic of the relation between the European Union and India. It was quite interesting because from the European Union, you can't get so many information. So it was very interesting what all these panelists told about these topics. Well, I mentioned the Indian Summer. It's presented by the Honorary Consulate of the Republic of India for Baden-Württemberg, Mr. Lapp. And it contributes also a cultural program to the festival. There's the German-Indian Round Table. This is more a business connection. Yes, this is also traditional along the festival. Well, this is a short look back to the normal festival. We hope that we can play in this case again. In 2020, before the coronavirus starts, we had a wonderful delegation trip with the state government of Baden to Delhi, Pune and Mumbai. And if all goes well, maybe there will be a next delegation tour next year. In any case, I hope that we will be able to travel to India next year and visit all our friends and to be there with you. We miss you. And now I'll hand over to Daniela, who will report a little bit from the first online edition last year of the Indian Film Festival in 2020. Thank you.
Yeah, hello, a warm welcome from my side. Thanks, Oliver. So could you please, yes, no, one back, please. Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah, we're talking about the first online edition 2020. So with the beginning of the pandemic in Germany and the first lockdown, we quickly realized that we would not be able to hold a normal festival. So to be on the safe side, we decided in March to plan the 17th festival as a complete online edition. So this was a really big challenge for us as we were entering completely new territory and we had no experience from other festivals. So it was very important to us that we could show a large selection of films and online festival, run them in competition, and of course, award prizes. With Vimeo, we found a secure platform and that enabled us to make the films available in secure festival payment area. But this meant that only a part of the festival was online. So the big challenge was to pre-produce the opening, the award ceremony, all the Q&As in short period of time. And due to the lockdown, it was not easy to find a studio and put together a crew to produce the whole thing in a Corona compliant manner. Unfortunately, it was hopeless that we would be able to welcome guests from India in that summer. So therefore, a big focus was on having as many virtual visits as possible to take place. Yeah, we were all the more pleased that thanks to Zoom, we were able to meet so many people live in so many living rooms and share these warm encounters with our festival guests on our platform. But every festival lives from the guests and the cultural exchange that takes place, especially in our supporting program. The big challenge here was to transform everything into an online format. It quickly became clear that this was not really possible. And so we decided to develop completely new formats, which I will introduce later. So Ollie, please, next slide. Yeah, but first I would like to talk about the heart of the festival, the film program. As I mentioned earlier, we were able to broadcast a diverse program, hold a competition, and even realize the Audience Award. We screened 30 brand new films, 20 short films, documentaries, all by filmmakers from and about India. In total, we had 34 hours of broadcast ready material. So thanks again to more than 70 people all over the world in front of and behind the camera who made it possible for us to celebrate 5 days of festival, City Partnership Stuttgart Mumbai, and Indo-German friendship. So once more, thanks also to all the supporters and sponsors who believed in us and supported us even in those difficult times. Oliver? So the supporting program became a real challenge. Developing new formats is often a challenge, and even without a pandemic. So we were all the more pleased that we were able to put together a colorful program in a short time, thanks to many friends and partners. So of course we had the opening and we had dish of the day. So 5 days, 5 cooks, 5 dishes. What do Indians cook when it has to go quickly at home? What are their favorite recipes? What regional specialties from their homeland do they prepare in their kitchen? 5 filmmakers from Mumbai present the dishes of the day and invite the audience to imitate it. Then we had the report on Fridays for Future movement in Mumbai. The fight against climate change is one of the biggest challenge. I lost my air. Sorry. The fight against the climate change is one of the biggest challenges for India and worldwide, and it shows how close even the younger generations are, how important and powerful global movement is. Then we had Good Morning Mumbai, a digital event providing an update on the current situation in Mumbai with a special focus on topics related to sustainable development in India. Yeah, and then we had a lot of exciting film talks and Q&As, and we had Studio Mumbai, 5 short films from our partner city Mumbai. Filmmakers and producer Paramir Singh and his team captured impressions and talked to local people. So this was really impressive. Mumbai in lockdown, empty streets, and the big challenges for people in a city of millions. And At Home in Stuttgart. In the series At Home in Stuttgart, we introduced 5 people from Stuttgart with Indian roots who talk about their relationship to India, culture, and everyday life in Stuttgart. And of course, we had the award ceremony. Oliver, please. Yeah, and we had a lot of benefits. So the first online edition in total, we had over 45,000 page views from 45 countries worldwide, from 54 countries worldwide in 5 days. First place was Germany, followed by India in the second place, Switzerland, and on place 4 it was the USA. This was a big success for us. This reach was fantastic and a big milestone into a new era for us. The big win was we were able to reach our existing audience and attract a large number of new ones. So thank you very much for your attention. And if you want to know more about the last festival 2020, please visit our homepage. And before I pass to Elisa, we will show you now a film with a few impressions of last year. So enjoy it.
Welcome to the 17th edition of the Indian Film Festival Stuttgart. We have long feature films, we have documentaries, and we have short films in cooperation with our partner Pocket Films in India.
Good evening from Mumbai.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Ich möchte etwas für meinem Land zurückgeben.
What I'm making today for you is a dish called Kanda Poha.
Herzlich willkommen zur Preisverleihung.
Congratulations to all award winners and thank you very much for participating in this festival.
So a warm welcome also from my side.
I would like to give you a preview of how we are planning this year's edition, the 18th Indian Film Festival, Stuttgart 2021. So the current situation, vaccination have started in Germany at the end of December 2020. But because there's not enough vaccination, only about 2% of the population has been vaccinated. So the government is reacting very restrictively and cautiously to prevent the third wave. This means that Germany has been in strict lockdown until mid of December. All borders are controlled, everything is closed, only the shops for the daily needs are open. And the opening strategies are vague. This is very uncomfortable and unusual for Germans, but only one thing is clear, that cultural institutions like cinemas will be reopened very late together with restaurants. In this situation, it seems reasonable to us to blend the festival in two variants. Variant 1 will be again an online festival, but we hope to be able to hold it at a hybrid variant. That means films can be again shown in cinema, of course, while respecting the hygiene and spacing rules. The audience will again enjoy Indian film together. That is really important to strengthen the community and the group feeling. In addition, there could be also online screenings. Welcoming guests from Germany will be possible, and we hope to welcome guests from Europe as well. Welcoming guests from India will only be possible via a live Q&A. But what is really important for us is to strengthen the digital possibilities of an exchange between the audience and the filmmaker, and networking among the filmmakers. I will certainly say something about this during our panel discussion. The next slide, please. We are very happy to announce that also in 2021, we will again be offering awards in 5 categories. The awards are endowed up to 4,000 euro. So on the next slide, you can see that if you have a suitable film, next slide, please, Oliver, we would be very happy to receive your submission. Submission is open until the end of March the 21st. Next slide, please. For those of you who don't know it yet, I would like to briefly own one speciality of the feature film section of Stuttgart. So of course, there's an opening film, a centerpiece, and a closing film. But what is really special for Stuttgart is the school film. Next. Yeah, here you can see this photo was taken in 2019 with a packed hall. The school film means it's a screening of a feature film or a documentary together with a public discussion. And if you can see on the next slide that it's really a young audience. So on average, it's 17 years old. The event is complemented by a short introduction by experts from certain organizations. So films of the last year were, for example, Shahid Paramahansa Mehta, An Insignificant Man from Vinod Shukla or Kashpu Ranku, or Richie Mehta's Siddharth. Films for School films deals with really tough topics like farmer suicide or child trafficking, climate change. And you see there is an audience in Stuttgart in Germany, and it's a really young audience. And this is a unique and a special moment for the filmmaker to see this. On the next slide, you can see that our short film section is complemented and strengthened by an additional competition called Short Takes. For more than 10 years, we have been cooperating with Pocket Films. So this is the 11th year, so the name of our competition is called Short Takes 11. Until the end of March, filmmaker with films up to 15 minutes in length can apply. The first 3 winners will run automatically in the competition for the German Star of India for short films. Before I hand over to Lisa, to the moderator for the panel discussion, I would like to end with a photo on the next slide, please. It's a review of the 2019 festival, and it should be a promise for the future of the festival. That is where we want to go again: the cultural exchange, the networking, building bridges. and maybe Stuttgart will be remembered as the place of the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elisa. A very warm welcome. Herzlich willkommen. Namaste, bienvenuti to the panel discussion. I'm happy to introduce our panelists to you, Selvaggia Velo and Carrie Rajendasoni. Of course, they are both very well-known festival directors. However, it is my pleasure to give you a short introduction. In 2001, Selvaggia Velo founded one of the oldest film festivals in the world, devoted only to films from and about India, the River to River Florence Indian Film Festival, and has been the film festival's director ever since. And River to River is celebrating its 21st anniversary this year. Selvaggia was also a member of several international juries, such as the 10th International Film Festival of Mumbai in 2008, the 5th Indian Film Festival Stuttgart also in 2008, the 9th Pune International Film Festival in 2011, and the short film competition Advantage India. Welcome, Selvaggia.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me on the panel.
It's our pleasure. So also let me introduce Carrie. Carrie Rajendasoni, of course, is one of England's leading Asian Film Festival program directors. For 7 years, he was head of diversity at the British Film Institute, where he was the festival director of Imagine Asia, England's largest South Asian festival. Nowadays, he organizes various well-known film festivals, such as the Bagri Foundation London Indian Film Festival and the BFI London Film Festival. And he is also a member of BAFTA and the Royal Society for Arts, Manufactures and Commerce. Hello, Carrie. Good to have you here as well.
Lovely to be here.
It's my pleasure. So in today's panel discussion, we want to talk, of course, we want to talk about this year and the programs you have in mind. But let's start with looking back on what happened to you and the festival last year. Maybe we start with Selvaggia. Could you share your experience as a European Film Festival director on Indian films and the learnings you've had last year?
Sure, thank you, Lisa. Good afternoon or good evening, everyone who is following us. I think there are also maybe some friends from India that we all know. I don't know if Uma is, hello, Uma. And Anna, hello. Anyway, so yes, so we had our 20th edition in December, last December, and it was, of course, an important edition because it's 20 years. So we really wanted to have a special celebration. And then we crossed our fingers, but then eventually we realized at a certain point that we can only have an online version. So we had to face the fact and make the best of it. So, of course, the film selection process was not easy, since there were less films than usual, of course, because sets had been closed, firstly. And secondly, not everyone was willing to put their films online. This was another problem that we had. But then, of course, speaking with the producers, with the filmmakers, we put them on a very, very extremely safe platform with all the authorizations and everything, anti-piracy. So finally, we managed to put together a good selection of movies, and also having a few an homage to Irfan Khan, who passed away roughly a year ago. The festival loved Irfan Khan. He was a very talented actor. He had been our guest some years ago, and other things. And so we managed to put together this film selection. But then we had another question to ask ourselves: how could we keep the relationship with the audience? Because as we all know, we have our Q&As, we have the audience, we have the filmmakers, we have our tea talks or conversations, however you want to call them. And this is the really interactive moment of each festival, which is amazing and which makes each festival so unique and so special.
Sure.
So finally, we decided that we would have a lot of live content, and we would not pre-record anything. We would do everything live. So we had an opening ceremony where I was all dressed as if I was with an audience in front of me. I was on my own in the cinema, of course, with the technical team and with the translator next to me. And I had 2 ambassadors connected, special guests connected from India, from Italy, and to greet and to say hello. And so to give it that sense of live. and the audience could interact and could follow. And the same we did for the closing. And during the 6 days, we had Q&As with filmmakers or with different guests. We had also the niece of Gandhi connected from her house in Delhi. With the translator, of course, we wanted our audience to, all our audience, to follow this. So we had a translator as usual, the usual translator, Donatella, who translates the Q&As, and she was next to me, of course, socially distanced. I mean, a little bit, we were on the stage, but at distance. And she was translating what I was saying into English and what the guest was saying into Italian. So, and this live interaction, we were live on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, and it was absolutely free of cost. So you could watch the films, of course, had a very small cost, practically symbolic, but the Q&As and all the live content was so, and they were so people could just not participate in some way. There was a live chat, so people could ask questions. We had Anurag Kashyap connected from his home in Mumbai, and he showed us all his. So I said, "What do you have behind you?" Like, as I have here, and he had 4 stalls full of things like this, but full of films, DVDs, and the audience was just amazed and asked questions. So this was also an occasion maybe to see people, like never in their houses, whenever could have you seen Anurag and his library of films now live and people asking questions.
It sounds amazing. It sounds amazing how you were able to have the online but still live exchange going on.
Yeah, and this live thing, I mean, save the festival vibe. This is what I wanted to say. So there it is. Yes.
Great. So maybe, Carrie, did you tackle the challenges you were facing also during lockdown in a similar way, or how did you manage to go on last year?
Yeah, well, we were a bit earlier last year because we actually happened in the festival. We were planning the festival to be in June, and basically in March we realised last year that things were going to change quite rapidly. And luckily we've got a great team, and we were able to turn the festival around in about 2 weeks flat onto a hybrid festival. So we actually launched the festival. So we decided if we were going to make the most of this kind of captive audience effectively, we should go ahead, move the festival earlier into March. So rather than outrunning the storm, we decided to go into the eye of the storm and launch the festival online in March. So we did lots of research. We were looking at festivals like CPH Docs in Denmark and other festivals and seeing what they were doing. And they had a new platform called Shift 72 in New Zealand. So we contacted this agency in New Zealand, 24 hours difference from London. So very difficult to kind of have instant reactions. But anyway, but we quickly, thanks to our Italian-based, so we're still part of the EU in this way. We have got a European team of people involved with the festival. Our producer is Alice is in Milan, so we quickly reconfigure the festival into an online form. We, rather than trying to grab films that were big hitting films that we know would attract pirates, like big stars in it, we instead went for a range of fare from lots of great talks. We did talks with, for example, Mira Nair, Bipa Mehta, Ayushmann Khurrana, Anurag Kashyap, which kind of bumped up our tickets, admissions. We had over 20,000 ticket admissions, so that was quite brilliant for first online platform. We worked with the BFI. The British Film Institute has a lot of our films, a lot of our masterclasses actually on the BFI website, so the BFI player, which is geo-blocked to the UK. So what we did was we opened up, connected and promoted our past events on the BFI player as well, which was useful. And what we did was, with our Satyajit Ray short film competition, we actually promoted that worldwide, and we got all the last 9 years of award-winning films for the first time together on the platform. That was very exciting because we got lots of people from India demanding they see the films. So we actually had to go back to the filmmakers and say, can we un-geo-block for the whole world? And then that made a difference in terms of young people wanting to see these short films that had won the Herald, the great Satyajit Ray's name attached to our short film competition. That was very popular. And our social media, being global, we've got a big social media following online, both in the big city, in the metro hubs in India, but also in other parts of the world. So that was very useful in terms of getting a global audience excited about the festival.
So it sounds like all of the festivals, including the Indian Film Festival Stuttgart, managed to somehow have a greater reach or still contact to the audience, even though there were online screenings. Is there any processes you would also implement in the future, regardless of whether there's going to be a second lockdown or whether the festival venues are going to be available or not?
Yes, we will have our 21st edition from 3 to 8 December of this year, 2021, and entries will open in mid-March. So, I mean, and will go on until mid-September. We hope we will be able to have a normal festival, but we will have to see. For sure, the audience has been asking us, and we also realized that to have the Q&As and the opening and the closing ceremony to be seen by people all over the world, basically, because to log on a YouTube channel, you can do it from any part of the world. This has been something that people have been asking for, and it could be something that we could bring along with us to broaden our audience. And, you know, maybe people who would have never come to Florence to watch a film, or would have, because, I don't know, for many reasons, that is an occasion to be a little part of the festival. So this, I think it could be an intelligent idea to keep it coming. As for the films, you know, again, it is tricky. The idea would be the hybrid, so to do it in the screening hall and online. It is an enormous job. I know everyone is doing this because we know what kind of job it is. Because I remember that when I was planning, when I realized that we had to do it only online, I said, oh, it will be less. No, it will be not. It was an enormous job to do it only online. So to do it in the two ways, it would be, oh my God. But so let's see. But for sure, some live content will be kept live, also for those who are not physically in the theater. I think this is something that can make the festivals more visible in every part of the world. This is my opinion. Yeah.
I think so. We are planning a hybrid festival, and we're still planning to go live in June, both in cinemas and in online. It depends. We'll find out today the latest government update where we are. But, the good thing is that the vaccinations are taking place, because Britain's got lots of laboratories set up for vaccinating people, that we're actually in a good state in terms of vaccinating. I think we've got about 12 million people vaccinated so far across UK. One of the queries might be that one of the things coming up might be that only people that are vaccinated are allowed into cinemas, which should be quite interesting. Obviously, the younger people have not been vaccinated, so that will be quite an interesting schism of the audience. Social distancing, yes. Social distancing for sure will be with us for the whole of this year, for sure. Even if we move the festival dates, we will still have to have social distancing. So audiences in cinemas will be, you know, appropriate, less than half, of course. Our red carpets, we're thinking of the idea of doing an open air red carpet, so that you guys do one already, but we did one before, but unfortunately it was a very windy day and the red carpet nearly flew away. So nothing waits on the red carpet this time. So yeah, the photo press boards and keeping the red carpets down and in the rain, of course, England, it's always going to rain. So there we have that.
And Carrie and also Elisa, maybe you can answer the question after Carrie gave an insight on what kind of feedback did you receive from the filmmakers and also the audience from last year and from this new version of festival that you were offering?
I think the feedback was very positive from our side. I think the filmmakers generally were, because what we did was we offered most of the content for free last year, because most of the UK venues were offering content for free. So we felt we were paying something back, giving something back to our audience. And so we did our films for free, and the filmmakers gave out of goodwill, gave us the films because they wanted to see us survive. I think same for all of our festivals. The filmmakers are keen for us. We're their market, so they weren't going to want to. It's in their interest to see us survive. And also, we realized that after many years, and it's the same for all of our festivals, there's lots of goodwill towards our festivals, that people love us and they want to see us thrive, and it's a part of a family. So I think that's kind of something that came back. It was unexpected, that kind of feel-good feeling from filmmakers that they wanted us to win. And so it was a win-win situation for us. It was a real, somebody said at the beginning of this pandemic, in terms of business, the way you've treated people over the last 10 years will come back to you this year. And I think that was very much true. And I'm sure that's for all of our festivals, that the love we gave out is what we got back, karma.
True, absolutely.
Yeah, I can, it's the same in Stuttgart. So the filmmaker was satisfied and happy that the festival took place. And they were happy that the films could be seen by an audience. And in July last year, it was a completely different situation like now. In July, everything was closed in India, and in Stuttgart had the reopen strategy. And so it was, for many of the filmmakers, it was like a goal where they were heading for. So just to return to a little bit that you have a goal that your film will be screened, even if you can't go to Stuttgart, but there is a film screening at least. So, and it was a little bit of normality again. And I want to go back to your last question, Lisa. What I can imagine that if you can plan it more with all the pandemic, and if there is again a normal festival, there will be a great longing for live events, spontaneous get-togethers, because we are all tired of Zoom sitting in front of a computer. But I think it's also important that we have to think of maybe there old or serious sick people who can't attend to the screenings. They have the possibilities, or young parents who don't have the money for a babysitter. And this is a possibility that they can watch the films as well.
Yeah.
And what is really interesting, for example, that the online, that we have a new target group with our online screening. Our target group is much more younger than the audience sitting in the cinemas. So it's completely different if you curate it for an online film festival than for the festival in Stuttgart, Florence, or London. So these are the new things what we have to pay attention to.
Sure. You both agree, Selvaja and Carrie, to have this experience?
Absolutely, yes, and I agree with Elisa that yes, the online audience is a much younger audience. And as I was saying before, maybe people who didn't know about the festival, who couldn't come to the festival for many reasons, and they just, yes, and also more interactive on the social media, so able to take part to a live chat. I mean, there's also this, to log on to something, and also we have a slightly older audience in the physical theater. So it will be interesting to see how things carry on. But then eventually, I mean, if one wants to be super perfect and amazing, the festival, I mean, the audience for the screening hall and the audience for the online are different. So it's like doing two festivals. So, but you can't, I mean, you just cannot. And so you have to, I mean, merge these two audiences together and think basically to a bigger audience, a wider audience. So thinking wider, I guess. And yes, also in our case, the filmmakers were very generous and very happy to have the films and to share and to be live. And so what Carrie was saying is absolutely true. And yes, but things
so this is not a discussion at all. No controversy here. But it's good to hear, Carrie. Carrie, you also consider two audiences, or do you feel like you have to consider the young part? Yeah.
Well, we have got two audiences. I think the great thing about having an online activity is, for a cost, as we know, festivals, in terms of the cost of bringing people over, is always expensive. The bigger the star, the more expense. Unfortunately, it does have a gender bias in terms of how much things cost to actually bring over in terms of, you know, all the other activities that come along with, say, female actresses, for example, with actors with you have to do hair, makeup, and stylists and stuff like that. So it's an extra level, and that's something that comes essentially with all commercial cinemas. But however, so one of the exciting things is being able to kind of like connect with people around the world, like in like Miranaya in New York, or Deepa Mehta, or Indian actors like Osha Mukherjee, connecting with them in where we could never afford to fly them over first class. So well, we can afford to get them online, and they were free at the time, and hopefully they'll continue to engage with us in that way. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to bring people over this year again. So so having a focus on British Asian cinema this year as a way of looking at the history of like lots of many famous British Asians, like Baji on the Beach, many great films that you've seen from British cinema. So we'll be profiling that. But our Q&As for all our new films will be online. So they'll be complementing the festival, cinema-based festival. And as Salvaja says, you know, the ability to offer kind of forums and debates online is quite incredible, because you can expand that to a whole world audience, which is quite, you know, beyond our imagining. The only thing I must admit, even I'm finding it, I'm a bit tired of watching stuff online. Even Netflix is getting very dull, sort of thing. So I really miss going to the cinema. I like not the smell of the cinema, but I like the atmosphere of the cinema. I like being there with lots of people, but I also just the big screen. And you know, working on last year's London Film Festival, it was interesting that the films weren't, you know, we were watching on a small screen. And I know a lot of those films would have been really amazing on like Salt in Our Waters, the Bangladeshi film, would have been stunning on a massive screen. So those kind of films we missed out on seeing on the big screen. So film works, you know, at that, a lot of films work at that scale, and so that you miss out. That's the people that love cinema will kind of be fighting tooth and nail to get back into the cinema. So I'm confident that our audiences will come back, and a lot of our, you know, diehard, particularly women's supporters. I noticed that a lot of the people that turned up we did a mini festival in September in cinemas, and it was the kind of diehard females that were all back in the cinema.
Yay!
The men, which is quite interesting. The women were actually thinking, you know, they were going for it, and they said, "We're going back to cinema." So it's about how interestingly how your dynamics that sometimes. Well, women are certainly more change makers. Sorry, men, but that's the way it is. That women.
Yes. What to do?
That's the reality. Our audience is nearly all female for the September back in the cinemas.
So do you focus on specific films this year? Like I'm asking all of you, let us know a bit about your ideas about how the program is going to look like and what kind of films you are looking for.
So of course we are very far. We haven't opened our entries yet. So we will begin accepting films from mid-March, since the festival is in December. So of course, what quality is there before anything? And like we all do, we screen films from and about India. We have feature films, short films, documentaries, we do VR, we do series, anything that can be interesting and on quality and of this year or the previous year and make sense. But then, of course, we have to see all the entries that we receive in order to create a harmonious selection that makes sense throughout the different sections. So throughout the feature, the short, the documentary, and whatever, because that is interesting. So, of course, this year is also the celebration of the 100 years of the Indian filmmaker, Satyajit Ray. So who knows who and if someone will celebrate this maestro of Indian cinema. But this is one thing. But then but then the contemporary cinema, we will see what we receive. Of course, interesting, intriguing, well-made films from filmmakers that live in India, out of India, and have an Indian content. Women filmmakers, we are always keen on more and more women, of course. And yes, so thank you.
So we are so our Satyajit Ray short film competition is on until the 7th of March, our deadline for submission. So that's open now. In terms of our program, I already mentioned the British cinema as our way of kind of interpreting Brexit from a minority ethnic point of view. Is where do we stand as brown people in this kind of creation of a dynamic of Britishness. So that's quite a fascinating and interesting and probably quite a powerful debate. We're looking at the idea of, obviously we're always doing very strong lines on, particularly we had up to 40% women filmmakers in 2019, which I think is more than a lot of festivals. So we don't necessarily call it women filmmakers, but because we integrate it throughout the program, but we have many women filmmakers. And we also we have a strong LGBT strand, so we're profiling LGBTQ plus filmmakers and their work, and there's a big audience for that in London. And so there's just a few of the things. One of the things we're trying to do is develop an app that will go on, like that we can get it onto phones, so we can get our online platform onto phones. In terms of this, that's going to cost, so we need to think about the costing of that, but that would be ideal because lots of young people want to watch it on their phone. Even though I'm talking about the big screen experience, the reality is that many people just want to watch it on their phone, so that's the way it goes. You have to recognize those different audiences. For the Satyajit Ray season, we're looking at working with the British Film Institute to look at a special season. There's some massive restorations of Satyajit Ray's films being done right now. Hopefully they'll be ready by August, September. And we hope to be working with the BFI to kind of profile those brand new restorations of Ray's films. We're also looking at children's events and looking at Ray's music as well. Obviously, Satyajit Ray was a great Bengali artist across the board. And so there's many different aspects you can angle into that. And that's music, literature, arts, all sorts of things. So that's some way of kind of like promoting the best of Bengal, West Bengal in terms of, but also into Bangladesh, that whole Bengali cultural sphere, which goes on from the colonial period, before the colonial period. So there's a kind of, that's something that we'll be, alive with this year as part of the 100th anniversary of his birth.
Wonderful. Elisa, is there any productions you're currently most interested in, or even exclusion criteria for submission?
No, I think it's the same like Carrie and Savaja said. So we all three, it's interesting also for me to hear that we have every festival has a focus on female topics, because a big percentage of our audience is female, and they're interested in interesting roles of women. And on the other side, it's nothing else than the years before, films with an artistic signature, with a gripping story that touches us. And I think that is the most important point. It had to touch us. And if you sometimes then if you watch all the entries, you can find a focus on a specific topic. And of course, if there's a link to Germany, it's interesting. If it's to Baden-Württemberg as well, but this is a present you won't get every year. Then it's also interesting for us to watch when we get the first film of a filmmaker, how they are developing. For example, can we show the next film, or is it not the best film? So this is also that every festival has friendship with special filmmakers and want to, of course, find the new ones as well. And one focus is, for example, that nearby Stuttgart, there's also a film school, and they are in partnership with the FTI in Pune. So I don't know if it's still existing, the partnership, and I can imagine that last year where no German student was in Pune. But these are maybe the bridges where we can find films. And I think Carrie, Savaja, and me are sitting in front of, in a cinema hall, and we are watching 10 films. And 2 films are brilliant, and 2 films are not. So we were all the same opinion.
Okay, and so what are your plans, how you can raise visibility and make sure that for filmmakers it's still possible to get an interaction with audiences, to present themselves, even though there's no, it's very unlikely that there will be any guests visiting Stuttgart and taking part in networking events here in Germany or in London or in Florence. How do you take that challenge?
I think that's something that's going to be a challenging this year, because we did last year. It was kind of exciting and new.
Yeah.
I think we're like, okay, what's going to
exactly, because it's not new anymore. And actually, I mean, not forget about us, but the audience and the entire world, as Carrie was saying, we are a bit fed up with these online things. Watching films, meeting people, everything online is a bit so you do it once, you do it twice, wow, then it's not the thing, it's not the real thing. But I guess we will all have to do what we can do. I mean, we can't if it will have to be like that, that's how it will have to be. I guess we can't just so I don't know, we are further on, we are in December, but who knows? I mean, I frankly do not know what will happen.
I think what will be is there will be different online platforms that are coming up. You offer different possibilities. Like there's this something called Clubhouse now. I've just found it today, and there's I don't know what that even is, but anyway, there's all
Clubhouse.
this Facebook Live and stuff, and these things are actually taking place. And so even by June there'll be something new. So somebody else will catch on to it. Signal will be doing their own special kind of live thing, I don't know, but all these different different online platforms. So the thing is to keep flexible and to keep being open for change, and I think that creates this excitement in itself, that technology in a funny sort of way will actually dictate the creativity. So that's interesting. But so that's one thing we're kind of open, I think we need to be mindful of. And I think also the thing is, I think that people will want to come back to will want to see stars, or they want to see actors, or they're fascinated by cinema. So it's our job to kind of mold that, or create that into something that's, package it, that is something that's accessible, but is, what festivals are great at making something special. So we're going to make this kind of special soup for you to, enjoy. And that's what we do. So it's just taking it into a different platform, making it unique, making it like this is your only chance to see it, or something, rather than you can watch it next month or something like that.
Yeah, true.
So that has to be something that, and a bit of glamour is what we always inject into our things, like whether it be the Stuttgart elephant and the red carpet there, or it's kind of
true,
that live performance, all those kind of things, or dressing up. We always
I totally dressed up for the opening. I was on my own. I was all dressed up. I was sitting on the back of a car ambassador. That was my Indian set, and I was sitting there all dressed in a sari. That was the opening.
Great idea. Yeah, you just have to kind of wing it sometimes.
Yes.
And Elisa, is there anything that you treasure from last year that you think, no matter how many new technologies or platforms will arise, you will keep in mind for this year?
I have to agree with Carrie that it's really fantastic to see how technologies are dictating us. So, but I think the whole situation with Zoom, you are sitting in front of, and there's one speaker and everyone has to listen, like in a classroom in older days. So there are a lot of virtual spaces now where groups can meet and talks and with interaction. I think this will be one thing. And for filmmakers, this could be interesting to give the film to festivals, because the streaming platforms, there's more quantity than quality sometimes, and it's no curated program. So, and our goal is to have a focus so that every production can be seen by the audience as well as the press. And you have the interaction. It doesn't matter if it's digital or everybody likes it more to see each other. There are not so much misunderstanding and then in a digital way. So, but the talk between the audience and the filmmakers, but also among the networking among the filmmakers is so important, because everybody still remembers the festival this year when I met this boy, and now we are producing a film together. So these are the stories you need, you need, and that's why I think 2021 will be a year in the middle. So it's not, everything is not closed, like hopefully in 2020, and hopefully in 2022, there will be reopened and there will be possibilities to meet each other again. So, and now it's difficult because this is the Zoom fatigue to sit in front, but let's do it together because it's worth.
True. Brava, Elisa. Yes.
It's lovely to have that camaraderie between all our European festivals as well, between all the whole of Europe Festival and festivals around the world in America and Canada and stuff like that. It's great to have that kind of family of festivals, which we all talk to each other. We usually bump into each other at Cannes Film Festival. I have a drink together or have a dance together.
But a Bollywood dance.
In the Indian Pavilion or something like that. But this is a lovely. Thank you for organising this. It's been a lovely chance to see you all again in a kind of like.
I can remember, Carrie, dancing with you, raining night in Stuttgart as well on the red carpet.
I'll be there. Don't worry. You put the Bangladesh.
Very happy memories. So before we open up the Q&A session, I will be receiving all the questions from our audience, from the attendees. I want to ask you, since you mentioned it, Carrie, we're all here together as European film festivals focusing on Indian films or films from and about India. There are lots of similarities, but if you had to point out differences, what would they be?
Between European and Indian films? Oh, sorry, I did.
From the festivals like London Indian Film Festival compared to Florence, compared to Stuttgart.
Yeah, well, the big obvious thing is that South UK, especially London, has a massive South Asian audience. We have up to 2 million South Asian people. Sorry, 1 million South Asian people in London. So not all of those people want to go to the cinema, but obviously Hindi cinema is big in the UK. We have this massive audience, which is different from all other parts of Europe, I think, in terms of that's because of the colonial experience of the UK, obviously. But I think that said, I think a lot of people just come in the hot time in the summertime because of the monsoons in India. A lot of the kind of film people come to the UK just to escape the rains and go to Wimbledon or something like that. So there's that kind of transfer between the UK and particularly London and the rest of the world, I guess. But each culture, each city in Europe has its own unique specialities, like Salvaggio especially.
Yes, I have been to Carrie's. I've been to both festivals actually, to yours in Stuttgart and to Carrie's, and the audiences are totally different. But the audiences are totally different also from Florence to Milan to Rome. We have in usual years we have a best of river to river, roaming around the country, Rome, Milan, and also inside Italy the audiences are slightly different. Of course, the fact that London has a big number of South Asian people living there, and also Stuttgart, much more than Florence and then Italy. This makes a big difference in also in the selection of movies, what movies you select. So films that probably I would have never selected have been selected at Carrie's and in Stuttgart, or the other way around, because audiences are different. So that already makes it a different event, of course. So here in Italy, an Indian film gets released in theaters, I mean, in normal years, once in 5 years. So you cannot give anything for granted here. People know nothing. So if every film that is selected has to have a reason, has to be explained, the guests and everything. This is how it is here. So it's a challenge and it's complicated, but it's the beauty of it, and it's for both sides, of course.
Also, for example, in the UK, we have different Asian nationalities in different parts of the UK. So like in Manchester and Birmingham, you have more, say, for example, more in the north of England, you have more British Pakistanis, and so they will connect more with Muslim films or films about Muslim experience or about Pakistani experience, etc. And other Bangladeshi communities who want to see more Bangladeshi films. And we have approximately every year we have about 10 different languages in our program. So that reflects the different types of South Asians that live in the UK, which again is incredibly diverse. So it's that's something we have to do. We have to have films not just in Hindi, but in many different languages, and actively make sure we have those films in those different languages. That will bring each audience segment to that film, which is quite important. What about Stuttgart? Do tell us a bit about the Stuttgart audience.
I think the biggest surprise for our Indian filmmaker is that we have a German audience. Most of the audience are really German. There's not such a big NRI audience. And so that was a biggest surprise for the directors who came to Stuttgart. And of course, it's the same like the Jazz Festival, it's a language barrier. So that is something you don't have to face. One difference is also that you both mentioned it, that the best of your films or some selected films are traveling to other cities, to Rome, to Birmingham, and we are just screening in Stuttgart. Yes, and then it's maybe you remember one of the first slides of the presentation where our curators Uma and Therese were presented, and we three ladies are discussing a lot through these months, and the last decision is made by Stuttgart if this film is working in Stuttgart or not. So because it's a good quality, it's a good topic, but everybody knows his audience best. So sometimes it's a big name and the film does not work for our audience. So
exactly.
I think we're all linked by Uma de Cunha as well. So
yes.
Like our festivals are the kind of our matriarch diva sort of thing.
Godmother, yes.
And absolutely dancing diva also, Uma.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, keeping it fired up, which is really wonderful.
Yeah.
I just want to encourage everyone who is listening to us now. Don't be shy, don't hesitate, just share your question in the chat. We're happy to address it. One question as well is how do you differentiate yourselves from online streaming platforms? Is the curation of a program and the programming itself the main thing that you offer compared to streaming platforms, or what are you focusing on?
So I didn't quite understand the question. I'm sorry.
How do you differentiate yourself from an online streaming platform?
Oh, okay. You mean by how do we differentiate, for example, the River to River online version compared to Amazon in this sense?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. I'm sure we pay a lot of attention on what we propose to our audience. As I was saying, I mean, we balance the themes between one section and the other. We make sure that films are the most recent ones. We try and find a link, a fil rouge, an idea, a common theme. We make sure that the quality is there before anything, gripping stories, different, different places where stories take place. We don't want a similar story in two different films, no? So we pay a lot of attention. I'm sure that Carrie and Elise do the same thing, a lot of attention in what we propose for our audience. So it's really, really taken care of and talked about and watched the films, and you have a selection panel, and then you watch them again, and then you have a short list, and then you rewatch because you're not sure. So it is a lot of care, I would say. Not that Amazon cares less, but I think that we all care a lot. Speaking for all the three of us. And of course, we know our audience because we've seen our audience in the screening hall. Mm-hmm. That is also a big difference. So now that we've done it online, but we have seen them with their eyes, we have seen them interact, we have seen them ask questions. We have people who come to the festival since the first edition, since 20 years. There's a lady who comes with a big hat, and she's been there for 20 years. Great. And I know some of the people from the audience. I know them, and I meet them in the road. I mean, in the normal life during the year. How is it going? And some roam around. Oh, they roam around with the bag because we have the festival. Oh, the bag, and you see them going to the supermarket with them. Oh, so what are you doing this year? So we really have. So I think this is the big difference. Maybe we know the audience, and so we know what can be. Well, what is the best for them and to propose. I mean, also challenging, because when you do a film selection, you don't want to also only choose movies to please the audience. You want to put a question or put a conversation out, maybe something that will not be so easy or so not relaxing to watch, but you think it's worth it. I mean, this is what we do here in Florence. Thank you.
Yeah, here in Stuttgart it's the same. In So the festival is connected with emotions and with memories. And I don't think that you have emotions with Amazon. So the second thing is that it's quality instead of quantity. And the third one is sometimes I see the filmmakers, everybody is, of course, his own artist, but sometimes they are for us like a plant and you have to take care for them, yeah, that they can grow. And I'm not convinced that the streaming platforms are interested in this kind of sustainability.
Exactly.
And we also spend a lot of time curating those programs. We put a lot of thought into it in terms of how those films fit together, what kind of themes we're coming up with this year, and that's that's not obviously the marketing importance of a commercial platform. We're commercial but not commercial. That's the reality of these festivals. We're doing it because we love it. The passion projects for all of us. We've dedicated our lives to that, and that's what our passion is: Indian cinema. And
yes,
crazy, we're all crazy people at the end of the day.
Yes.
Doing these jobs. So we're passionate about what, making those films seen when they wouldn't be seen otherwise. They'd be visible in the general world we live in, especially in Europe and UK. That whole experience will be very different.
Yeah, then that's one other point I want to add, that it's so difficult, or it's a big difference if you create a film for an online screening or for a cinema screening, because if you choose a tough topic or a difficult film for this cinema hall, it's not so easy to leave the cinema with all the people around you, but it's very easy to close the film in an online screening. So, and that you have to have in mind also that online screening films, yeah, most of them are entertaining a little bit more than in the cinema hall, but it gives you so many more things if you go and fighting with such a film and getting something new afterwards. So
so we also have the question how we addressed the topic before of the submissions for this year, but how many different films do you accept? Is there a certain timeline of how recent the films have to be, or do you also accept older movies? What are the submission criteria?
Yes, so our entries will open the entries of River to River will open in mid-March, and they will go on until mid-September. The festival is from 3 to 8 December 2021. We accept features, shorts, documentaries, animation movies, VR, as long as they are directed by an Indian filmmaker or they have an Indian content, meaning that the filmmaker can be from any part of the world. The films have to be dated, produced in the current year or the previous year, so 2020 or 2021. There are some cases in which we have a special section or a homage, like we did Irfan Khan, or where, of course, there are films that are also older. But the heart of the festival is, let's call it, the recent, the more contemporary cinema. And entries will be on Film Freeway. And we do not ask, this is something also I want to say, because we do not ask for any entry fee. Some festivals ask for it. So we receive quite a few emails asking us to waive the entry fee. There is no entry fee for River to River. Thank you.
It's the same in Stuttgart. There's also no entry fee. And so the submission is open until the end of March. And we are looking also for features, documentaries, and short films and animated films. But often the animated films are short in numbers. So we put it together with either the feature film section or within the short film section. And normally, I would say we accept films from this year and from last year, but I know that there have been production delays and postponements and so on. So I'm curious how the situation is at the moment in India, but primarily we are looking for contemporary films.
Yeah, we're the same. We're looking for films up to roughly 2 years old, and we tend to not look for feature films or documentaries. We tend to have curated and found them ourselves as part of our research. We do a call for submissions on Film Freeway for our short films, and we do charge a minimal charge for submissions for that. And that seems to be, that's our way of working. That's possibly unique to London Indian Film Festival, Birmingham and Manchester. We also, interestingly, over the last year, particularly with the online platform, we're looking at pay-per-view films this year for older classic films, films that haven't been seen by many people. So we, for example, last year we managed to get because we deal with India and neighbors, so we don't just do India, we do India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh, the whole region. We haven't done Afghanistan yet, but that's our kind of region. So we don't have this kind of notion of, it's a different notion appropriate to our particular country. One of the things we'll be looking at is we also tie into Black political experience, so that could be beyond the South Asian boundaries, around minority ethnic experience in Britain, which is again a different dynamic. So last year we found a Sri Lankan film, for example, which was called Flying on One Wing, which I put in London Film Festival many years ago, and it was kind of like a pioneering lesbian movie from Sri Lanka. It was long before anybody was doing it. It's probably about 15 years ago, and we couldn't find this. Because there was no digital file for this film. We managed to find, actually in Germany, we found a DVD copy, and then I think it was through, I can't remember, it was Max Collection. We found it in Germany. So this is all happening during the festival to get it online. But we had this kind of out with this idea, let's show some of these films that nobody's seen for years. And we found a digital file in Germany. Then we had a sound file in Germany that had to be matched with a visual file. And so we were the first festival to ever show this film online, because everybody had forgotten about it, but actually it was an amazing film. And because, you know, who would have put who would think of a lesbian Sri Lankan movie now is quite exciting, let alone 20 or 15 years ago. So this film was ahead of its time. So now it's kind of, we managed to put that together. We were able to put, for example, Meera Nair's Mississippi Masala back on the screen for the first time in years. We managed to find that and put that. Meera Nair is now going to release that film, which is really exciting, back on the screen. So that's really exciting. And so it was lovely to be part of that kind of initial thing of pestering Meera to give us this film, and then to find basically a DVD copy that we could transfer online with the permission of the rights holders, and find the rights holders. And yeah, so that's when, you know, you're really kind of pushing the boundaries of actually helping the cinema, putting these films, rediscovering some great movies, which we can do online, which is Netflix aren't doing this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Very true. I have another question for you concerning the geo-blocking and online screening. So how do you go about geo-blocking? What are the possibilities? Also, you mentioned pay-per-view. Audience restriction is a natural given cause in cinema halls, but online screenings most of the time don't have any restrictions. Can you share your plans for this year, if there are any at this point?
Sure. I mean, by doing I guess that now we're all much more experienced, having all done an online edition, but for what concerns us, we had no idea. So we learned things as they were coming up. Oh, there is also this. So for example, the geo-blocking. So we select the movies and then we begin, and then eventually requests come in from the filmmakers. Okay, I would want my film to be online only for 24 hours. Or I would want it only to be seen in Italy, or I would want it only Italy, France, and Germany. So then you realize that there is another topic to address, the geo-blocking, and the time that the film is online, 24 hours, 72 hours, the entire festival, only one screening. So there is also, this doesn't exist in the screening hall. I mean, it's that screening, and who is inside watches it. And so there are a lot more of variabili, you say in Italian, a lot more of possibilities on the online, which makes things also, I mean, more complicated. So then you realize that for each film, you have to understand what the basically it is up to the filmmaker. But you try and convince the filmmaker. If the filmmaker says only 24 hours or only 80, you try and convince the person to make it Europe or worldwide or 72 hours. I mean, you try and make it more available as long as you can. I mean, by speaking with the filmmaker, this is a kind of, I mean, conversation that you can have. I mean, we have had it, and we have succeeded in having films also, for example, for the entire festival or seen worldwide instead of only Italy. So, but really depends. Every film has its own requirements, depending on the strategy, the marketing, if it has a distributor or not. I mean, there are a lot of possibilities. So that's. But yes, it is an important, fundamental topic, I would say.
The good thing with the Bagri Foundation London Indian Film Festival is that we could expand our audience UK-wide, where we'd never actually been geo-blocked to the UK. Was actually an interesting one, where we could actually go to the top islands of Scotland, for example, where we couldn't possibly ever go to. So that, or there's always Indians everywhere, so there'll be Indians on the moon soon. So we're pretty much a global phenomenon. So that's the great thing about being able to reach isolated people in far places of the UK even. So, but I think the main challenge was about, as Selvaji said, is how those filmmakers just want a certain amount of time for real reasons that India's very prone to piracy. So a lot of the films are prone to pirates.
Yeah.
And that is a big issue. All cinema is, but India particularly
is
a zone where everybody, there's a lot of pirates about. So you can only ensure that you have the best security available on your platforms, and you make sure that's kind of updated and checked. And you can also, it's up to the filmmakers what they want to give us at the end of the day. And we try to, in a way, exclusivity, saying you can only watch it for 2 hours, as long as you don't clash two films that are happening for 2 hours only side by side, and then the audience get upset they didn't get to see both films at the same time. It actually kind of focuses the mind in terms of people know, like they have to go to the cinema at a certain time, they have to watch this film at the certain time. It's not, they can't just switch it on up, when they feel like it. And that means sometimes they will never switch it on. So the good thing is the time limit might be a good thing.
Yeah.
But I think the challenge will be that I think that as our audiences are constantly attitudes to online experience is constantly changing as well. They get bored. How do we keep them excited, interested? That's going to be the tough thing that we have to do as a festival, to keep our audiences kind of entertained and engaged. And whether that can be in cinemas, our bigger premieres in cinemas, but there's loads of films that don't get, like some great documentaries, who all have their niche audiences on we can access them online, that these audiences can see these films. Talks are always going to be popular online. If they're on a Sunday afternoon, people will like to see films, they like to see their favorite stars talking online, for example. It's a bit of, the whole family experience. The nice thing is you're not buying one, ticket. You're not buying 3 tickets to get in or 2 tickets to get in the cinema, but the whole family can sit around a sofa and sit around the living room and watch one thing together. So in a way, it could be very positive.
Yeah.
I think one opportunity is also last year, most of our film was geo-blocked for Germany, most of the feature films, and the short films, some of them were screened worldwide, for example. And one parameter is, for example, if you say, okay, normally your film will be screened in a cinema hall with 300 seats, and 150 seats can be sold in the cinema because of the hybrid format. So 150 seats are left, and we can put them in the online screening. And if they are sold, so it's not possible to watch the film again. So this is also a solution for the distributor, because I can understand the distributor and the filmmakers. They want to have the German premiere, the Italian premiere, the Britain premiere, and they have to sell it because it was a tough year for them as well. So another solution is, for example, okay, we screen your film for 300 tickets, and if we sell more tickets, you will get something of this amount. So this is also a solution, for example.
Great. So looking at the time now, it seems like we're very close to the end, but I want to give you the opportunity to say some last words, maybe also from Oliver Mann, who is with us again. And thank you so much from my side for this wonderful exchange. I enjoyed it a lot. I hope you did too.
So this is my part to say thank you to everybody. I was always there. I just turned off the camera. So thanks for joining, for discussing, and Lisa, thanks for moderating. Well, we are expecting you films, and we hope all that we can have exciting festival programs in London, Florence, and Stuttgart. And yes, I think we should proceed, and the show must go on. This is that it is, I would say. So thanks for that. See you soon. See you maybe next year in India or in Stuttgart. So all the best to you. Thanks for coming, and bye.
Roger, you say.
Oh, sorry, yes. Thank you. I'm sorry, I was blocked, geo-blocked. In Florence. Thank you, Oliver. Thank you for having me over, Oliver, Lisa. And I can't wait to be back to normal live where we can all be next to each other in a cinema hall, watch a film on a big screen. Thank you, Lisa, for moderating. Carrie, lovely to see you as always, my partner in dance crime on the dance floors all over the continent. No, thank you for also all those who have followed this very interesting conversation. So see you very soon, I hope.
I would just say, Leah, again, thanks to Stuttgart for organizing this. It's great to be part of this kind of a bigger debate and to share ideas and just feel a common sense of purpose, which is very important. And also just to remember how exciting it is to put film festivals on. What a challenge it is every year.
Yes.
Every year we pull it off and it's always spectacular, and we're always bringing people, bringing the best of Indian cinema to the world. And that's a really, great feeling, and it's really exciting to be looking forward to this year's festival. No matter how it takes place, it's going to happen. It's going to be amazing. So it's all to play for.
It's the same here. Thank you for joining us, Raja and Carrie. I'm so grateful that you give us your time, and I'm also happy that hopefully I can't see the audience, and it's a weird situation because normally Oliver and me are in Mumbai, and our Bombay, our second home, and enjoying so many talks and going to friends' home and cooking together. So we miss that incredibly at the moment. So I hope you enjoyed the discussion, and it's a little bit Europe, which we are bringing now to Bombay, to Mumbai. And I hope to see your films, and all the best for the festivals and for you as the filmmakers. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.